Welcome back, guys. We are back. Today we're going to be talking some Champions League. I'm very excited because this is a brand new format. Obviously, the way we're going to go for this knockout stage is quite electric. It's quite exciting. I know it's been a minute since we were posting on this channel. I'm very excited to post this today. I mean, obviously, this is going to be out almost a full week before these matches. So let me know what you guys think about, the predictions that I'm going to go for, what you guys are saying about these games. I'm very, very excited to see how all these pan out. I'm going to go through and kind of explain a little bit because I know it's a new format, so not a lot of you guys might still not be getting it, really what's going on. So we've had a league phase, obviously. The top 8, which is Liverpool, Barca, Arsenal, Inter, Atletico, Leverkusen, and Lille and Villa. They've all secured a round of 16 spots, so they're already waiting. Basically, what happens then is that Atalanta's the 9 seed, so they're going to play the 24, right? Dortmund's the 10, they're going to play the 23. Real Madrid is the 11, they're going to play the 22. Bayern's the 12, they're going to play the 21. So, yes, this is how it's working, and those teams are going to play in a two-legged tie in a playoff to then get thrown into, a draw against who they're going to face. And obviously, you can see the draw is already somewhat predetermined, right? It's going to show essentially, they're going to be, Dortmund or the winner of Dortmund and Sporting will face either Lille or Villa, just depending on how that works. So, we look at a situation where Real Madrid and Bayern, right? And, Celtic and Man City. So, Atletico and Leverkusen are going to be waiting for the winner of Real Madrid and Man City and Bayern and Celtic, which is like kind of crazy, right? So that side of the bracket is going to be really tough. But I love this format. If we were to look at this format just before we get into any predictions, Lille and Villa like getting in the top 8. We got teams like Dortmund, Madrid, Bayern, PSG, Milan, Juve, City. These teams not even making it into the top 8, right? I like the way this format has gone down. Liverpool just absolutely destroyed the league phase. Barca did really well. Arsenal did really well. Inter are just so consistent. I mean, you look at the teams that are in the top 8, Liverpool, Inter, I would say even Atletico, these teams in the last couple of years have just been so consistent. It's not surprising for me to see those teams in the top 8. Arsenal definitely starting to really pick up, their club in the last year or two. They've been playing a lot better, so not surprised to see them. And then Barca making a bit of a comeback this year. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, right? So let's go through. Let's talk about kind of what we're going to expect out of these matches. I want to go through and talk about them. The first game is going to be PSG versus Brest. I just feel like Brest peaked a little too early for sure, and I think PSG are just on a crazy run of form. This could be an interesting one because it's kind of like a league head-to-head, but if we even look at how PSG have done against them in the recent couple matches, they always take care of business. So this would be one of the larger upsets to me, even though, seeding-wise, PSG are in a worse seed than Brest, I think, or are they a worse seed? I don't know. They might have been a 15. Yeah, they're 15 and Brest is 18. So Brest was in the top 8 for a while, and then they kind of fell off. Look, Brest, they're just not playing well. I think PSG will win this one. So we will potentially see PSG move on, and we'll get back to that original bracket. I'm not going to give you exact score predictions because I don't do those, but PSG should have no problem here over 2 legs. We've got Juve and PSV. This one is quite interesting. Juve are just a really tough team overall to beat this year. They've actually suffered 2 defeats, recently, which is crazy. PSV have been doing very well, obviously, in the league. We look at the setup of it, right? It's a 14 versus a 20. Juve, for me, is going to be one of those teams that if they do get through, I think it's probably going to be like, you're going to end up seeing extra time, sweaty 0-0, 1-goal games, penalties potentially. This one for me is really, really tough to call, just because I really have been feeling like both of these teams are just kind of like a pain in the butt, overall. And I thought, PSV obviously in the recent week had a really good showing against Liverpool. So I kind of feel like PSV are playing a bit better as of recently. Obviously, if I were to lean one way, Juventus is probably the way that, in terms of, this is a larger match, more pressure. It's just a different stage. But I always do feel like there's one team that kind of goes on a run. So I'm not going to be boring. Juve obviously this season have been, really hard to beat, obviously. But I think PSV have been a great team this season. Like, generally, I've been watching a couple of the games they play. They play some nice football. I'm just going to pull for PSV in this one. Maybe they can pull it off. Let's just be a little different with this one. I know that PSV is the higher seed, but I think if you look at odds and what people are choosing, I think more people often than not are going to choose Juve in this one. Let's go with PSV. Let's talk about Man City and Real Madrid. This is a really interesting matchup because people will look at this one and just say, oh, Man City is finished. But I think Man City have a lot to prove. And it would just be, as I was saying, one of the most ironic situations, if this is the season where, Man City goes through, they did win the Champions League, but they really should have won probably one or two more after that one or before that one that they didn't win. And this would be funny if they go and win it. But unfortunately, that's not my take because I've watched too many Man City games this season. I was even on this train about a month and a half ago. Man City, just for me, are not good enough this season. I don't think there's anything that is going to bring this team a Champions League this year. Real Madrid as well, for me, is a team that is picking up the form. We're seeing way better matches out of Mbappe. For me, with the form that City are in, even if City was like leading the Prem with like one game, they dropped points and they were in the top 8 in the Champions League, I still don't know if I would choose against Real Madrid. So, unless Real Madrid prove me wrong, look, Real Madrid this season, it's not always been pretty at times, but over 2 legs, and, I think Real Madrid is hosting the second leg. I'm not choosing against them. There's no way. Not in a Champions League match. So I'm going to go Real Madrid advance in this one. That's my pick. I think betting-wise, this one will be a little closer than people think. And look, for as disastrous of a season Man City has been, look, if you're a Man City fan, you still have a chance to really do something special here. I think the league is completely out of hand, but you still got a chance. And look, I'm not going to count them out. I just don't think it's been good enough for Man City. Obviously, they suffered a very bad defeat on the weekend. And again, Real Madrid has those weeks where they suck. They have those weeks where they look like they're back. I like what I've been seeing out of Mbappe. I will say that much. Both teams have definitely their fair share of injuries. I think Real Madrid will advance in this one. Okay, Sporting and Dortmund. Okay, Sporting and Dortmund is an interesting one. I've watched Sporting a lot more this season before Amram left to go to United. So I thought they were a bit more exciting at that point in the season. They've been doing okay. I'm not going to choose against Dortmund, even in the season that Dortmund have had. What you should expect about this matchup is I think there is going to be a lot of goals. Now, as bad as Dortmund have been doing in the league this season, they've still got themselves a 10th seed and, not a bad footing in the table at all. So I think Dortmund, for me, it's a similar situation to, even Man City. Like, it's kind of like, okay, they still have everything to play for in this tournament. The only problem is, obviously they're going to play around the 32. They're going to play 2 extra games. So whether or not that makes them, a little bit more fatigued, I don't know. But I'm going to go with Dortmund in this one. I like how they're going to host, the return leg. And obviously with the run they had last season, I'm not counting Dortmund out. I'm starting to put them as one of those more consistent Champions League teams. I know it always hasn't been the best this season for them, but I think they definitely have the players and the talent to do it. It's not that Sporting can't win this game, though. I mean, this is not one of those where I'm looking at it like right now, if you looked at all the games we've talked about, right? Brest PSG is probably the game. I'm not giving Brest any chance. If they beat PSG, I would be really shocked. I've watched a few of the recent PSG games, and I just don't think they're going to lose. So that's that one for me. Next up, we've got Brugge and Atalanta. Brugge just gave Man City a little bit of a headache almost, but Atalanta's been really good this season. Obviously, they have a ton of injuries. But I still go Atalanta in this one. I think that's not unpopular. I don't think you guys are surprised by that. Playing very well. There's not much more for me to talk about in this one. I think, again, if you look at this one and Brugge upsets, it's a big upset, right? I know Atalanta has injuries, but, a lot of the players in and out of lineup until mid to end of February. So if they can get by this one, stay, healthy with the players they had, they're going to be in a really good position in the next round. Now we got Celtic and Bayern. This one is actually a lot more interesting than people think. I think Celtic have obviously massively overachieved in the Champions League. I know you're going to look at me crazy because they got 21st, but look, they still made it out of 36 teams, into a top 24, which is impressive, right? And this new format is giving teams, let's go through, Celtic, Bruges, even Feyenoord, even Brest, maybe even PSV. These teams are getting way more of a chance to get to a knockout than they would have ever, had. But it's a new territory for a lot of these teams in recent history. I'm not going to choose against Bayern. I'm not going to choose against them. I think this one will be closer than people anticipate, though. I think if we look at this in an aggregate, we're going to have a lot of goals, right? Most of these games, both the games will probably be over 3 goals in both of them. I would expect. I think Bayern will get it done, though. I think the aggregate, though, is only going to be a goal or 2. I think this one's going to be very close. And don't be surprised if Bayern return home down a goal, meaning they lost the first leg, or if it's like a tie and it's 2-2 or 2-3. They'll take care of business at home, but don't be surprised if Celtic do a madness and get off to a really good start at Celtic Park. Let's see how this one goes. This one is going to be a must-watch, though. I think this is going to be a very entertaining, just attacking, passion, 2-leg matchup, which I really like. And then we've got Feyenoord, Milan. Feyenoord this season, 3 losses in a row right now. I think Milan are just a better team. I got Milan here. I think Milan is going to I think they've already turned the corner a bit. We look at Milan overall, guys. it's impressive enough that the way they started the Champions League campaign, and kind of how the league had started, they're up to 8th in the league, and they got 5 wins out of 8 in the Champions League. It's impressive because I think they started, what was it, 0-2 or 0-3? Just had a good result against Inter Milan. For me, I think this is going to be a sleeper team. I said it. I think this is going to be a team that's going to give a lot of teams some problems just randomly. They have the players to do it. They've not really found that ultra style in this season, but I've seen them a couple times. I know who they have. I think they're going to make a little bit of a run. If they can get past this first game, because Feyenoord is no joke of a team. It's not an easy team, no matter how you spin it. I think they might have themselves a chance. So, then we've got Monaco and Benfica. Okay, I am going to say in this matchup, I think Benfica is going to win. You may call me crazy. I've seen Benfica play this season. I saw the Barcelona game. I'm going to go with Benfica. I like how they host in the second leg. They've also beaten Monaco in the 2 previous matches. They just recently, obviously, played in the Champions League. I'm going to go Benfica. I think they will get this one done. This is kind of like a roll in the dice one because, obviously, this is like the 16 versus the 17 seed. So, they've both finished very, very similar in the table. I'm going to go with Benfica. I think they will advance. I think they're a very consistent Champions League team in the recent few years. So, where does that put us? Now, let's take a look at this. Okay, so Real Madrid are playing Man City. So we look at who we've picked. We've picked Atalanta, we've picked Dortmund, we've picked Real Madrid, we've picked Bayern, we've picked Milan, we've picked PSV, PSG, and Benfica. So then we go over and look at the rest. I'm not 100% certain if it's a random draw with how it works. I don't actually know. But I'm pretty sure that Liverpool, obviously you look at how it looks in the bottom right, and let me zoom in on it, right? So let's start. We'll go all the way over to the bottom, right? So Liverpool will probably play, I assume. I can't say this for 100%. So they'll either play, I think they're going to play the winner of PSG and Brest, but if not, they'll play someone in that group. But let's just go with that for potential matchups. We might have Barca Benfica. Oh my God. Oh, my God. Yo, that was probably the game of the season as well, that Barca-Benfica game. Imagine Benfica gets it done, and they're going to be... Look, I'm going to be honest. If that's directly how it goes, I got to check. So for the next video, we'll know for sure. And I'm sure you guys will say in the comments. But if it's not just a random draw at the round of 16, because I don't think it is, because it would make sense seeding-wise if Liverpool got the 1 seed and they were going to play potentially... I don't know. I don't actually know how this is gonna work. I think that's how it would work though. But yeah, imagine Barca Benfica. Yo, again, that's gonna be crazy. Let's say I'm going PSV over Juve. I'll say this though. After making that prediction, I kind of want to go back on it now because if this is how it works, I actually want to see Juve Inter. I want to see Juve Inter in a round of 16. But I'm gonna say I think maybe PSV will do it. That's my upset kind of pick. Arsenal might have to play Milan. That is going to be, I'll tell you that, man, that's going to be a very interesting one. That could surprise some people if Milan win. Then Bayern, if they beat Celtic, oh my God, they might play Leverkusen. Wow. Okay, then Atletico might play the winner of Real and Man City. Holy crap. Yo, that's crazy. So based on my predictions, I have Real and Atletico. That's crazy. Bayern, Leverkusen, Bayern. Maybe Juve Inter. Oh my God, these matchups are crazy. And then this is where it gets interesting, right? Because you look at this is where there's some potential. We look at the Atalanta Brugge, the Sporting Dortmund. The winners of that game are gonna get to face Lille and Villa, right? That is actually a chance where someone could make it out that's not expected, right? Where you could see like Sporting just go on a crazy run, beat Dortmund and then beat Villa. It could happen. It definitely could happen. So that, for me, out of all of the draws, and that's the funny thing with this table, that actually looks like probably the easiest path to a round of 8. But we will see. Obviously, looking at this table overall, though, it's going to be really hard to beat Liverpool over 2 legs. I feel like if I'm a Liverpool fan and I'm looking at this table, and with what I've seen this season from them, the teams I would really watch out for, I think Barca is going to be really tough to beat over 2 legs because I think Barca in every 2-leg fixture is going to put up 5 to 8 goals. So you're going to have to basically have like a target score that you're going to have to get past. I think Inter Milan are never easy to beat. I still think the previous season or whatever Champions League it was it last year where they lost to Atletico? I thought they had a really good shot that year and they just blew it. I think Arsenal is obviously not easy to beat over 2 legs. You know, Arsenal was kind of getting close last season, fell a little short, so that's going to be a tough one. Look, this is going to be a really interesting campaign. I'm very excited to watch how this goes down. I think the hardest predictions for me is going to be the round of 16. Once we know what those predictions are, it's going to be really tough to make some calls. But until then, we will see. And let me know what you guys think. What are your guys' choices? What are you guys' picks? Let me know. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Peace.